As soon as his words ended, another voice echoed, Chang Feng senior brother, please wait a moment. Su junior brother was extremely happy to hear that, as if he had been saved. The person who spoke was Dan Tai senior sister that he had just mentioned, and Holy Son Yin Chang Feng was surprised as he turned around to see what was happening. Dan Tai Ching Shui, in her white dress, walked over and said, may I ask where Su junior brother went wrong, that senior brother threatened him like that. As she approached, she was welcomed enthusiastically by the disciples, even the men were moved. It's Dan Tai senior sister, truly like a fairy out of this world, so incredibly beautiful. Another person glanced and said, I'm not blind, you take a second look. Dan Tai senior sister is my idol, I only love her, I will never change. Yin Chang Feng also blushed a bit, but tried to remain calm as he explained, Su junior brother has committed the offense of disrespecting senior brother, how can he not be at fault? Qing Shui, with her curvaceous figure, carried a musical instrument and tilted her head with her captivating beauty, opening her mouth to speak. Is it disrespectful to mention Qing Shui's name that way? Qing Shui asked with a pleading look on her face. Every day, the Holy Master calls Qing Shui many times, can this be considered disrespectful? And who is being disrespectful, senior brother? The disciples saw Qing Shui's adorable behavior and lost their rationality, each one opening their arms wide and releasing their hearts, constantly thinking, oh God, save me. That tilt of Dan Tai senior sister's head is truly a weapon that moves people's hearts, I cannot resist it. Upon hearing this, Chang Feng immediately softened towards the girl and angrily said, you are trying to manipulate me. Then he showed a sly smile and said to Qing Shui, so, dare to make a bet with me? In this martial arts meeting with Tai Xian Holy Land, whoever loses must give up the position of future Holy Master. Hearing this, the girl replied, didn't the Holy Master already promise that whoever reaches Yuaning before the age of 40 will be the next Holy Master of Ziqing Holy Land? After that, Qing Shui hugged the guitar again and looked adorable, but her words hit Chang Feng's heart. Chang Feng senior brother, are you in a rush? Chang Feng, with a purple face, said, don't talk nonsense. Suddenly, there was a sound in Qing Shui's ear, she was extremely surprised to hear this music and turned around. Some disciples also heard the sound and said, where is the music coming from, it sounds so good, but compared to Dan Tai senior sister, it's still far behind. Yes, Dan Tai senior sister is a genius in the field of music. These disciples had a chance to take advantage of the situation. While they were discussing, Qing Shui was listening quietly, she quickly ran out to look down. And also told them to shut up. But their scolding was like a slap in the face for these disciples. Ouch, I've been scolded by senior sister, it really hurts. I've been scolded by senior sister too, it's so touching. Boo-hoo. While these disciples were still daydreaming, Dan Tai jumped out of the boat, which made them panic and ask, Dan Tai senior sister, where are you going? The girl leaped from mid-air downwards at a very fast speed, accompanied by a glowing blue aura. As she descended, Qing Shui silently recalled the melody she had just heard, in the prime of youth, like a little Q Li Tui, in the prime of youth, like Chao Sun Fai Bok. Such music must come from an extraordinary expert with extremely high musical skills, or perhaps it is my destiny. If this journey can help me understand the ancient piano books that I couldn't comprehend before, then it's great. Yin Chang Feng also found Qing Shui's behavior strange. He thought to himself, Dan Tai Qing Shui has always pursued the path of sound, could there be something peculiar about the music she just heard? However, a moment later, he furrowed his brows in frustration because he didn't understand anything about sound. The scene where Qing Shui arrived was filled with a strong spiritual aura and Tao energy enveloping a spiritual weapon. A little town resembling a hidden paradise of an expert. As she was about to land, a barrier suddenly blocked her path. Then, Qing Shui was struck by a beam of lightning, covering her but causing no harm. That made Qing Shui confused and self-questioning, what is this? The crack on the barrier suddenly opened up, causing Qing Shui to fall like a bird with broken wings. Behind the mountain, where ye brother was, suddenly there was a thunderous aura and dark clouds swirling incessantly. Lightning struck down like the sky roaring and the earth collapsing, and the reason for the dark clouds and thunder was because of ye brother's music. He played music with his own heart, causing even the natural world to follow his emotions. When the music ended, the sky returned to its original brightness. Ye brother opened his eyes, puzzled and asked, "Is there thunder again?" While he was puzzled. On the other side, there was screaming and shouting, "AAA help me." A graceful figure fell endlessly from above with Qing Shui's sorrowful landing. The hen was so surprised that it dropped its eggs and ran away in a panic. The poor chickens were scared of losing their treats and ran in chaos. Qing Shui raised her hand tremblingly and kept saying, "It hurts so much." The chickens also stopped being scared and turned back to look at Qing Shui. Where Qing Shui fell created a small cracked hole, and the flock of chickens gathered around to peck at it. Surely the place where she landed was ye brother's chicken coop, Qing Shui thought to herself. I didn't expect this place to have such strong restrictions. It's true, after all, it's the residence of an expert, and having some ways of protection is quite normal. While Qing Shui was still in awe, suddenly the sound of a zither rang out. Qing Shui looked to another direction where the zither sound was melodious and amazing. Without waiting for a second longer, she ran straight to that place. Why did she have to run so fast? It's because flying was forbidden in this place. The people in the town saw her and exclaimed, "It's an immortal over there." Others asked, "How do you know that?" "Oh, so you don't know? Haven't you seen the creative hairstyle of that lady? How could an ordinary person do that?" She even stuck some chicken feathers on her head. It creates an immortal aura, can't you see? After walking for a while, Qing Shui finally arrived at her brother Ye's grocery store. At that moment, Wuang was asleep drunk in front of the door. Qing Shui looked inside and saw the terrifying aura of Dao still emanating, just as she had predicted. This was definitely the hidden place of an expert. This sound of the piano must certainly come from a great power, with supernatural abilities on the path of the dark law. Surprisingly, she looked at where Wuang was sleeping, seeing him sleeping soundly, must have stayed up all night last night to guard. But the one scared was Qing Shui. She stood up with her hair standing on end, shouted, "Oh my God, the Demon King is lying here in a pile." Qing Shui's voice was quite loud, so Wuang also woke up. It looked at her and thought, another practitioner of the human race. Could it be because of the fame of its master that she came here? Qing Shui saw him raising his head. She was afraid of revealing her identity, so she stepped back, afraid of making him angry and losing the chance to become a future holy master. But Wuang suddenly had a bolder thought, "I have to assist the master a little bit." Thinking immediately, it stood up and approached Qing Shui. Wuang also did not forget to emanate its own intimidating aura. Qing Shui was so frightened that she clung to herself. Wuang burst out with the aura of a demon king, revealing his true body and said, "Little girl, if you truly want to ask, then I will speak with great compassion." Before he could finish speaking, a hand suddenly grabbed his neck, causing him to only make a barking sound like a house dog. Wuang was sweating profusely because he knew who it was. Only his owner could touch him and turn him from a demon king into a house dog. Ye brother grabbed him by the neck and threw him out, saying, "Go play in the backyard, stop intimidating others here." Ye brother walked up with a bright smile, and also said, "Do you want to buy something? Come inside and take a look." "We have everything inside," Qing Shui exclaimed in shock. "This is..." Qing Shui came here to consult an expert, not to buy things, but another thought straightened out in her mind. Qing Shui gasped and thought about every detail. The Demon King has always had a haughty and unpredictable temperament, an existence that is relentless and uncompromising. Now this young person is cursing like a dog again, but obediently listens. The sound of the piano also emanates from inside this house. All of these signs prove a fact: he is the extraordinary expert who plays the piano. Qing Shui's eyes shone bright with the words, "extraordinary expert," imprinted in them, and she continued to affirm, "That's how it is." Ye brother looked puzzled as he glanced at the girl. "I don't know what happened to her, but she seemed so agitated. Qing Shui, with a fascinated look, asked him, "Excuse me, just now you played the piano, didn't you?" Yi brother looked at her, not understanding why she was so excited like that. Qing Shui knew she had encountered a great opportunity. So in her eyes, there was only an expert. Yi brother was startled to see her looking so creepy. He replied, "Yes, that's me." After the answer was a fearful reaction from him, because the world of cultivating immortals is full of strange people. Qing Shui smiled coldly and said, "That's great." Then she took out her own piano, its aura also emitting a mysterious musical sound. Yi brother, seeing this action, thought, "What does she want to do? Why are you playing the piano with me to ruin my reputation? Do you want to teach me how to be a better person or something?" He smirked, looking cold and disdainful. "Well then, come on, humph." Yi brother's attitude at this moment exuded a terrifying aura, like a great power holding the fate of a realm in his hands, so formidable that no one could defeat him in this field of music. But everything changed when Qing Shui smiled brightly and spoke up, "Great master, I have some questions related to music theory that I would like to consult you about." He froze for a moment, standing still for a few seconds. "So she came not to disrupt my shop, but to seek guidance, making my pointless agitation earlier." He realized that she referred to him as a great master, surprised but also pleased. Qing Shui was very clever, thinking to herself, "Senior said to treat me like a passerby in the shop, but if I directly call him great master, he definitely won't be able to refuse." Just as she thought, Yi brother was in a very cheerful mood and laughing as if he had won the lottery. "Haha, I can't accept the title of great master, too embarrassed," he said, refusing the title with his mouth but his body showing sincerity. His ears turned red, his nose pointed up as if he was starving to death. After 3 seconds, he started to cough, feeling a bit embarrassed. Yi brother regained his composure and introduced himself, "I am Yi Changqing," before suggesting, "It's not convenient to talk about music and art here, let's go to the backyard for more details." Qing Shui was thrilled with the fulfillment of her wish. "Yes, Yi great master. I understand." He led her inside and said, "This is my modest little residence, where I usually sit to practice music and paint." As he finished speaking, Yi brother slowly opened the door, and a strong light burst in, causing Qing Shui to cry out in surprise at its brightness. The scene before her eyes looked like a fairyland, with a thick aura of Taoism. In ancient times, the divine beast and divine tree had almost everything. Qing Shui was shocked by what she saw before her eyes. This is clearly a holy land with miraculous powers, there can be no trace of a simple residence here. Here, one day is surely worth more than 1,000 days of cultivation elsewhere, she thought, unable to contain her excitement. "I only dare to hope to stay here forever." Yi, seeing Qing Shui's thoughts, confidently thought to himself, "These cultivators behave strangely every day, everyone who comes here becomes mysterious and unusual." He then introduced Qing Shui to his place of residence. "This is my writing desk, where I write and draw every day. This is a chessboard, which I often play in my spare time." Qing Shui was also surprised to see a stone on the table and asked about it. Hearing her question, Yi responded, "That stone is a tea pet, if you like it, I can give it to you." Feeling overwhelmed, she hesitantly replied, "Thank you for your kindness, Yi great master, but I cannot accept it, thank you." She was too excited, leaving Yi puzzled as to why. "Because, to me, a beautiful stone is just a decorative item, not a rare and precious treasure, so why not accept it?" Qing Shui sweated profusely while thinking to herself, using ordinary stones as precious treasures for making tea, and casually giving them to others. A man who doesn't care about fame and fortune like that, I want to learn more from him. Her bold thoughts and eager aura were clearly visible on her face. After a while, the two of them stood in front of his zither in the small courtyard. Qing Shui looked a bit puzzled, she was horrified and thought to herself, that is. She gasped when she realized it was the legendary immortal weapon Tianyu. She was still not calm because of these two words, Tianyu. Her forehead was sweaty, her eyes seemed to see something incredible. Could this be the immortal weapon known as the Heavenly Spirit Scholar, the embodiment of righteousness and honesty in legends? While she was still lost in her thoughts, he approached and said, "Miss, if you want to learn about music from me, then play a piece for me to listen to." But when he looked back, he saw her drooling over her wooden zither. He couldn't help but be amazed by Qing Shue's actions and took a step back. Yi brother continued to adjust his guitar and said, "If you don't mind, you can use my guitar." Those words echoed sweetly in Qing Shue's ears, making her quickly run over and ask, "Use your Tianyu guitar. Can I really do it? Do I have your permission?" Qing Shue's attitude made him fearful, but he emphasized, "Of course you can, just be yourself." Then, Yi brother looked at the guitar and reminisced. The body of the guitar was made from rare wood from Hai Ji Chou, reminding him of a cold winter. He remembered when he had only a few pieces of wood left to burn, he used a hatchet and his last bit of strength to split the wood. The sound of the hatchet hitting the wood, creating small pieces, echoed in his memory. One could even see sparks flying up and coming back down. He hit me in the mouth, causing me to look up to the sky and spit out blood, feeling a sharp pain that made Yi brother fall back. He remembered that he could detect it relying on his keen eyesight. The head of this wooden stick had the words Tianyu carved on it, resembling a musical instrument, so Yi brother decided to go to the music district to find a suitable string for it. After a while of examination, he chose a very delicate silk string. Yi brother took it to the shopkeeper to pay, and the old man said, "This is a silk string, priced at 6 silver coins." Yi brother was shocked and said, "Why don't you just rob me?" Then the old man leaned in close and said, "Without spiritual roots. This is the price." Hearing this, Yi brother became furious, regretting that he couldn't slap the old man and dunk his head in the pond. He stormed out in anger. Before leaving the door, Yi brother, still angry, turned back and shouted, "Wait for me, remember my face." The old shopkeeper waved goodbye in a friendly manner and said, "Go in peace, no need for farewells. Remember to come back and support us next time." Yi brother was still very angry when he got home. He took a piece of red silk and tied it to his forehead, showing determination. Yi brother held a bundle of cabbage with a serious expression on his face and said, "It's not just a silk thread, why is it so tight? If we don't have it, we can start raising silkworms, and one day we will have silk. But to make a perfect instrument, to play magical melodies, we need the right time and place, all those factors are indispensable." Back to reality, Yi brother reached out his hand to Qing Shui and said, "Music theory comes from the heart, so fairy can just follow your heart." Qing Shui nodded in agreement. With Yi brother's permission, Qing Shui gently touched the instrument, then sat down. Thinking to herself, the divine weapons of this world are divided into different categories: immortal weapons, Tao artifacts, ancient treasures, spirit treasures, and many others. A sect usually has a Tao artifact, considered a precious treasure, while immortal weapons are rare and only exist in ancient legends. Such rare and precious treasures are very scarce in this world. Things that can be encountered but not sought. It's unexpected to find an immortal weapon in this legendary place, and the Tao energy on this string instrument of the Great Master is truly dense, surpassing even ordinary immortal weapons. As Qing Shui played a note, the Tao energy danced along with the sound of the strings, causing her small delicate hands to tremble with excitement. Yi brother, watching this scene, found it difficult to understand and tilted his head in question. After playing the instrument, Qing Shui turned to Yi brother and respectfully said, "Junior's name is Dan Tai Qing Shui, if you don't mind, you can just call me Qing Shui." Seeing this, Yi brother smiled with satisfaction and gestured as if opening a poem. The leaves rustle outside the Taishao gate, flowers bloom along the river under the moonlight. Yi brother, impressed by the name, praised it and expressed himself in front of her, hoping to captivate her with his gentlemanly demeanor. But reality struck quickly, as she turned to him and said, "Excuse me, senior, can I start now?" Yi brother's face turned gray as he couldn't understand anything. "She doesn't care about anything," he said, then politely invited Qing Shui to play the music. Qing Shui started playing the first notes, the sound came out gentle and lingering. Each melody performed by Qing Shui smoothly, reaching the chorus, she sang along with the music, expressing lively emotions. After finishing playing, Qing Shui excitedly asked, "Senior, how was that?" But his response was just a chin-scratching gesture and saying, "Not bad, just okay." His straightforward answer made Qing Shui's face turn pale as if she had just been slapped with a cold splash of water. She sarcastically said, "Just okay? Then I will use 10 times the effort to see how the senior's feedback is." With 10 times the effort, Qing Shui started spinning her hands wildly with a new piece of music. The more she played, the faster her movements became, as if she was remixing the music. Seeing the change in her playing, Yi brother felt surprised and started applauding and praising her. Qing Shui was playing the piano with great pleasure, her body seemed to merge into the music. When she finished, she thought to herself, "I wonder if the great master has recognized my talent yet, hee." As Qing Shui's performance ended, Yi also applauded and praised her, saying, "The music was graceful, it touched people's hearts." However, there were some imperfections, but the performance was rare. Upon receiving the praise, she was so angry that she felt blood boiling. Afterwards, Yi told Qing Shui another terrifying story, describing it as a nightmare. He said, "I once knew a girl who claimed to be a pianist, but the music she played terrified me. The fear was truly horrifying. The image of the princess playing the piano was like a musical disaster." Yi looked at Qing Shui and pointed his finger up, saying, "Compared to Qing Shui, that girl was much more skilled," making her shiver all over. Thinking to herself, "How dare he compare me to someone as crude in music as him?" she had to restrain herself or she would have slapped him. After that, Qing Shui shook her head vigorously and calmly said, "No, that's not right. The great master's words must have some deeper meaning." It was because of this thought that she approached and asked, "Qing Shui's knowledge is limited, so there may be shortcomings. I hope you can guide me more." She presented herself respectfully and eagerly to Yi brother, with gestures that were equally respectful and polite, saying, "I hope Yi great master can guide me." Before Yi brother could respond, she remembered the advice from her holy master, who had once warned her, "Qing Shui, the master is someone with a lot of experience, and almost everything in this world I have experienced. You must remember this on the path of cultivating sound magic, you must make it through, unless you don't." However, she did not know that her master had been labeled by her peers as a nonsense great master of literature. The expert spoke in such obscure language to show off, and the disciples didn't understand, so they thought it was profound and meaningful. Qing Shui on one side secretly thought, "I wonder if Yi great master can speak words of wisdom that surpass holy master. At this moment, Yi brother also hesitated and replied, "Teaching is not for me to judge. But everyone's understanding of music is different, so the insights gained in music are also very different." The words Yi brother spoke made Qing Shui fall silent and mutter, "Yi great master, he can speak words that even surpass holy master. The words of master are like a small pond, while Yi great master's words are like majestic mountains, a vast and profound feeling that cannot be reached." Yi brother saw that she was not normal and cleared his throat. Then he told her that he had remembered her music piece in his heart. After saying that, he walked towards his own instrument, and after sitting down, he said, "Next, let me play a piece for Qing Shui to hear, so that she can see the difference between me and her." Upon hearing these words, Qing Shui quickly and respectfully responded, "Yes, great master." Qing Shui humbly requests to listen with her ears. Inside her, there was a feeling akin to a violent volcanic eruption, indescribable. "You entrust the initiative of interpretation into my hands. Is this the special way of the enlightened great master Yi?" Yi brother's hands were now resting on the strings of the instrument. The first note that Yi brother plucked caused the Tao's vigorous energy to transform into form. Witnessing this scene, Qing Shui seemed to sense something. The strings of the instrument vibrated in harmony with the vast avenue, each sound generating Tao's energy, the music making the hearts of those listening quiet and tranquil, as if they were in the clouds. Riding on a crane flying into the sky, after Yi brother finished playing a piece, he wiped the sweat from his forehead and exclaimed, "This piece is more challenging than I imagined." When he looked at Qing Shui, he saw her reaching out her hand. This scene was not unfamiliar to him, as those who came here were not much different from this lady. Their enlightenment was truly terrifying. Seeing this, he said, "That's enough. Having insight is good, it can be considered as being able to teach. Time flies like a dog running in the field. Just a moment ago, a cent has passed." At this moment Qing Shui also woke up. She was amazed that she had gained insight, her experience points therefore increased dramatically. She immediately noticed Yi brother sitting drinking tea on the other side. Her face at this moment also had a hint of fear, because of Yi brother's level in the aspect of sound laws. For her, it was like the difference between heaven and earth, deep and unpredictable. Then Qing Shui pondered, perhaps he can help me solve the biggest mystery in my heart. That, since childhood, Qing Shui has joined the Holy Land Zi Qing and started the path of practicing sound laws. That scene always remains unforgettable for her, the guidance of the master, and studying with senior brothers in the Holy Land. At that time everyone praised me as a genius with extraordinary talent on this path. Everyone praised, admired for their talents, but one day my enlightenment came. Qing Shui held a piano book named Hoa Fan in her hand. She had found it in a cave of a great power who had passed away. Every time she starts performing, she cannot bear the Tao's rule contained in that piano book. She has tried countless times but has not succeeded. If she were to take out this piece of Hoa Fan, Qing Shui had a bolder intention. She thought to herself, I wonder how great Master Yi would react if he saw this music sheet. With that thought in mind, Qing Shui decided to act right away. She approached her brother Yi and said, Yi great master, this piano book has been causing Junior trouble for years. Can I ask for your guidance? Upon hearing her plea, Yi brother did not hesitate to take the piano book and asked, is this piece of Hoa Fan really that difficult? While Yi brother was pondering about the piano book, Qing Shui showed seriousness. Those who understand music theory can comprehend the score, but when it comes to performing, even a tutor cannot do it. Especially, he will be swallowed, with a very powerful attack within, because the score contains the terrifying Tao's rule. When it came to this point, Qing Shui's body couldn't help but tremble. Hearing Qing Shui's words, Yi brother understood the meaning behind them, and he wasn't surprised. Yi brother turned to Qing Shui and said, if I'm not mistaken, the author of this Hoa Fan book is indeed a woman. Qing Shui was horrified and replied, yes, the person who lived in that cave is indeed a fairy. After answering Yi brother, Qing Shui thought excitedly, indeed, Yi great master just needs a glance to guess that the author is a woman, truly my idol. After a while, Yi brother looked at the book cover and sighed, thinking, how can a man write such beautiful characters? Then, Yi brother said to Qing Shui, I will play this piece for you then. Qing Shui was startled, making Yi brother lightly shake his head at her. Qing Shui gently said, then trouble the great master. At this point, Yi brother was about to break the strings and thought to himself, although this piece is complex, it can't be difficult for me. Because in this field, we are champions. Then he started with the first melody. Immediately after that Yi brother entered the scene in the music piece. The flowing energy revolves around him. Qing Shui behind him also felt the pressure of this vast avenue. She was stunned by the overwhelming power, just playing but with such great power. At this moment, Yi brother entered another scene of the piece. He constantly changed scenes making the energy even more vivid. Qing Shui felt the energy rays carrying the melody, also had a sense of enlightenment for herself. A moment later, she panicked because she realized the change in herself when listening to this music. Her feet can no longer stand firm. Her body resonates with the sound of the strings trembling constantly. Qing Shui's face also turned red and she breathed heavily. Her body condition was not stable, making her think that Yi great master wanted to pass on the vast avenue music energy to her through this piece. At this moment, that feeling became even more intense. Qing Shui felt something surging in her body. She couldn't hold it in anymore, let out a loud scream and immediately, a dazzling yellow lotus flower appeared. This lotus flower shone brighter and contained the essence of the Tao. From within the flower, something began to slowly unfold. After a few seconds, in the center of the flower, something materialized, taking the form of a small child, like a newborn baby, emitting a dark Tao light. Qing Shui was horrified to realize that the little child was her initial Yuaning. She couldn't contain her emotions, remembering how just by hearing Yi Great Master play the zither, she was able to condense her Yuaning and enter the Yuaning realm abruptly. Seeing the figure of Yi brother, Qing Shui couldn't help but fear this overwhelming power. Transitioning to the Bei Huang Glacier, the land of the magic clan, the music from Yi brother's zither could still be heard echoing across the northern part of the continent. Suddenly, a weapon appeared and struck the members of the magic clan who had been hunting the demon beasts. Excited to catch their prey, they were shocked to hear the sound of a harp coming from somewhere. Some recognized the sound of the harp but did not know where it was coming from. Suddenly, a violent wave of energy spread across the vast sky of the ice plain, causing the ground to shake. The magic clan were terrified as the ground shook and lightning struck a pile of bones, causing the demons to cry out, "That is the direction of the Holy Land." The elder of the demons said that it seems like the demon emperor has finally awakened after many years of silence, possibly due to the harp sound they just heard. A member of the magic clan pointed to the lightning strike and asked, "What just happened, elder?" The other members did not understand the chief's meaning, and the elder recalled the legend of the most terrifying demon emperor sleeping deep at the end of the ice plain. When she woke up, the magic clan army would once again occupy Zhongzhou to unify the world. The old man knelt down in surprise, causing the little demon next to him to panic. The elder clasped his hands sincerely and expressed his thoughts, "As long as the demon emperor wakes up, the thousands of years of suffering of the magic clan will come to an end." In the picturesque place of Dashan where the Yao tribe lived, the sound of a zither drifted through the valley with the wind. The melodious music reached the dark cave where a mysterious Yao tribe member sat. Hearing the zither, he turned around and asked himself, "Who is playing the zither?" A figure as swift as the wind rushed before the cave, answering forcefully. A group of Yao tribe members gathered, respectfully clasping their hands and bowing before the figure. Some Yao tribe members respectfully knelt down to greet the Demon Supreme, and as they stood watching them perform the ritual, the Demon Supreme gently said, "Just get up." The woman with wolf ears stepped forward and clasped her hands. "Demon Supreme, you have been asleep for 1,000 years, why did you suddenly wake up?" He looked up at the clear blue sky and replied, "Didn't you all just hear something?" The young lady, who had just broken out in a sweat, said, "Junior indeed heard the sound of music, but thought it was just a normal song." Upon hearing her speak, Demon Supreme calmly continued, "Normal. This song is the legendary Flower Fan song." The words he spoke made her shudder on the spot. The man with bear-like hands stepped forward indignantly and said, "Demon Supreme, what exactly is this Flower Fan song? And how could it disturb you so?" Demon Supreme sat down on a rock and explained to everyone, the Flower Fan song was composed by a magical woman from a clan with power equal to the demon emperors. She composed it for her lover from 1,000 years ago. Upon hearing this, the three fell silent, bewildered, and said, "A magical woman who can rival the demon emperor, why would she have a lover from a mortal race?" As they listened, the little demons couldn't believe it and whispered, "How can humans and demons love each other?" 1,000 years ago, the world was led by demons, moreover this demon woman had such powerful magic. Demon Supreme explained that hundreds of thousands of years ago, the two demon realms divided the world, with humans being the only remaining existence. Later, the humble human race found a suitable way to cultivate in the vast avenue of the world. They quickly rose and, along with the two demon realms, divided the world into three, leading to an unintended alliance between the two. The realm of this woman was almost ascended, but was destroyed by the cultivation supreme of the other human sect. Not only did she have to bear the price of being destroyed and swallowed by the heavens, but she was also sealed deeply by her lover in the mysterious coffin in Bei Huang. Everything seemed to end with a faint mist in the Demon Supreme's hand. He continued, "Legend has it that a human sect practitioner left behind a piece of Fan Hua. Only when this piece is played correctly, can the seal on the mysterious coffin of this female demon emperor be broken. The legend also mentions that only when the human sect practitioner transcends, can they touch that Manhwa. A little demon spoke up, Demon Supreme, if you have heard the flower fan, then surely you can also hear it on the Bei Huang plain. The seal on the coffin of that demoness will also be opened. The future is indeed something to look forward to. Demon Supreme chuckled wickedly. Yes, it won't be long before the magic clan rises again and declares war on the human race. The demons were also resolute, and the two nodded firmly, saying, the junior understands, we will immediately send someone. Once the human race launches an attack, we can wait for the opportunity to strike and attack Zhongzhou. A gentle breeze carried a few leaves. At the same time, on the Ziqing Holy Land, a large ship floated in the air and began to move towards the Taixien Holy Land. The person on the ship exclaimed, I see the Taixien Holy Land. A young man stepped out, standing in front of the majestic landscape. He assessed, indeed, it is the demeanor of the Taixien Holy Land. It seems we have arrived earlier than expected. Suddenly, the ship was hit by a violent tremor, and the people on board struggled to stand. The howling wind of Changfeng couldn't keep its balance. He yelled and fell headfirst into the boat, his face grimacing. He raised his head and wondered, what's going on? The boat hit a barrier, causing a strong shock. The people on the boat shouted, help, the boat is shaking, and, what's wrong with the Holy Land Taixien? The angry crowd exclaimed, we knew we would come, why didn't we unblock the mountain defense formation, and, how do we get off the boat? On the journey to pick up the people of the Holy Land Ziqing from the Holy Master Taixien, Qing Xian expressed his uneasiness. Chang Xian senior brother, are you sure you can break Su Ji Tian's four-dragon water spouting formation? Hearing this cold remark, it was truly the whisper of a demon. He Chang Xian confidently replied, I have received the true teachings of our ancestor. Breaking that old man Su's formation is as easy as eating and drinking. Just wait, this time I will definitely win everything for the Holy Land Taixien. The elders, upon hearing this, immediately cheered and rallied. Suddenly, the ship was hit by a violent tremor, and the people on board struggled to stand. Yes, Holy Master senior brother, a true man must be strong. A true man of integrity does not know the word fear. He Chang Xian raised his finger and said, junior brothers, wait a moment to meet the old man Su Ji Tian, you should still be modest. They all responded in unison, yes, Holy Master senior brother. He Chang Xian, with a sweaty face, said, old man Su has always been very suspicious. If he changes tactics at that time, then this year his efforts will be in vain. At this moment, someone approached, greeted them, and said, long time no see, he brother. He Chang Xian awkwardly smiled and replied, long time no see, Elder Su, I heard that your cultivation level has made a breakthrough in the past 10 years. Su Ji Tian laughed arrogantly and replied, haha, the four dragons spraying water formation that you have not been able to dispel for decades, why would I need to make a breakthrough? Collecting so many treasures from Taixien Holy Land like that is a bit embarrassing. The elders were furious and speechless. Qi De Long, an elder from Ziqing Holy Land, spoke up, you reap what you sow, losing face is not a big deal. An elder from Taixien Holy Land could not take it anymore. He drew his sword and pointed it towards Qi, speaking loudly. Mr. Qi De Long, from Su Town, was just joking around. What's the big deal with you talking now? Qi De Long, without any fear, smiled and replied, Brother Yuan Jian, is your temper still so bad? If not, then next time we can have a little spar. He was so angry and said, I bet you still remember the old man's sword. At that moment, Qi De Long suddenly remembered, wait, have you had a breakthrough? He compared in dissatisfaction in his heart, 10 years ago, this old man said it would take more than 2,000 years for a breakthrough. Yuan Jian exuded a strong aura and replied, not bad, Qi De Long, did you expect this? This old man has successfully reached the divinity realm. He Chang Xian didn't say anything but thought, didn't the old man tell you guys to speak less, to be more humble? He Chang Xian placed his hand on Yuan Jian's shoulder, not saying much, and directly pulled him back. The Holy Master chuckled and said, "It's embarrassing," making Su brother laugh. At this point, Yuan Jian was still angrily muttering, "Senior brother, don't stop me." He Chang Xian heard the sound of beating drums. "Su junior brother, although Yuan Jian has broken through the normal realm, but I'm afraid that the talent of this old man will always be inferior to you in the realm of Tao," someone behind spoke up. "Holy Master senior brother, there is no need to appear weaker, the junior brothers behind are cheering for you. Today is different from the past, Holy Master senior brother. We are no longer afraid of you, as men, we must be firm. It's not just about playing chess, let me play, increase the bet for me." He Chang Xian's whole body felt as if it was made of stone, he was speechless with his ignorant younger brothers. "Didn't I tell you guys how to behave? But then why did each of you open your mouths and say, 'My master is the best'? Enough of that." Hello everyone. We have reached part 2, episodes 53 and 54 of this series. Within the compound, the arguing and commotion caused Holy Master Tai Xian to intervene and advise them not to agitate, as the issues will be resolved later. However, no one listened. The elders standing behind Holy Master could only helplessly look at the tumultuous crowd. The three elders whispered to each other about the unruly group over there. The elder with a strong body looked at them and asked, "Are these the same old men who lose at chess and cry?" The elder in black helplessly replied, "So arrogant." The elder in purple stroked his beard and said, "It's not like before." Seeing the commotion caused by the three elders, along with the gossip of the other elders, Su Ji Tian began to suspect in his heart, things seem normal, but there must be something unusual. It seems that the people from Holy Land Tai Xian must have an expert guiding them from behind. Inside the magnificent and luxurious palace, with swallows soaring in the blue sky. In the distance, Chang Feng leisurely held a fan in his hand. He softly called his master, Su Ji Tian, to report the situation. "Master, all the disciples of our Ziqing Holy Land have been arranged properly." Upon hearing this, Su Ji Tian turned to look at Yin Chang Feng and continued walking towards the main hall. Suddenly, Yin Chang Feng was a bit surprised to see three elders of the Tai Xian Holy Land in front of him. He quickly bowed to the elders in front of him. "Junior Yin Chang Feng, greetings to the seniors of the Tai Xian Holy Land." Seeing Yin Chang Feng's respectful gesture, the Holy Master stroked his beard and praised, "No need for excessive courtesy, it seems that the Holy Son of Ziqing Holy Land has made quite some progress." Upon hearing the praise from the Holy Master, Su Ji Tian happily extended his hand and approached him, saying, "It's just a small achievement." In response to the praise from the Holy Master, Su Ji Tian gently stood next to him and patted him on the shoulder, praising his accomplishments. The Holy Master looked at Su Ji Tian and subtly said, "I heard that your holy son Li Changming has been practicing the longevity technique for 10 years, and has also made rapid progress." Seeing that the Holy Master was not responding to him, he continued, "This time, please give us some guidance." Yin Chang Feng stood outside listening to his master speaking and smirked disdainfully. Arrogantly, he added, "Why has senior brother Li still not shown up? Is it because he knows he can't compare to me so he deliberately avoids me?" Hearing these words from his disciple, Su Ji Tian raised his eyebrows and pointed his finger to scold, "Chang Feng, that's disrespectful." Seeing his master scold him, Yin Chang Feng turned his face away in anger. The Holy Master standing beside watched as Su Ji Tian lectured his disciple. Yin Chang Feng casually fanned himself, showing indifference to his master's words. He replied with tears in his eyes, "Yes, yes, Junior has overstepped." The Holy Master heard the exchange between Su Ji Tian and his disciples and then answered Chang Feng's question, "At this time, Chang Ming is in seclusion, so you haven't seen my disciple, which is correct." This response surprised Yin Chang Feng, thinking of his disciple studying day and night with a book in hand, murmuring, "The strange is ever-changing, the variable is fixed, the sign is visible but the limit is unknown." The Holy Master couldn't help but feel sorry. Intentionally, he told Yin Chang Feng, Changming has now abandoned the path of spiritual cultivation and turned to the path of sword cultivation. Listening to Changming switch to the path of swordsmanship, Master Su Ji Tian and his disciple were surprised to see the Holy Master and asked, why the sudden change? Yin Changfeng quickly fanned himself in shock and asked curiously, are you really switching to the path of swordsmanship? The Holy Master sighed heavily, showing a sad expression, and said to the two, young people who have not experienced the hardships of society are even more prone to impetuosity. Suddenly, the Holy Master's face lit up with joy, scratching his head a few times, then happily told the two, it is a coincidence to meet a renowned teacher for guidance, so I have completely awakened. Seeing the dizzying changes in the Holy Master's expression, Master Su Ji Tian and his disciple could only respond with a nod, looking puzzled at him. The Holy Master turned to look at his junior brother, raised his thumb with a proud expression, and said to himself, see this is what humility looks like, junior brother, remember to learn from this. When the junior brothers saw the signal from the Holy Master, they also raised their thumbs, secretly happy and thinking, senior brother is truly amazing. The elder stood by watching the antics of the two, then he bowed respectfully with his hands behind his back and approached to scold them, are you not? The two foolish people watched as Qingyi stood scolding the old crooked man, then took the opportunity to gather together and whisper to each other, let's make a deal, this old man is planning to deceive someone. The elder with a sturdy body approached Su Ji Tian and interrogated him, he is a disciple, how could he easily give up like that? Su Ji Tian heard him and had some doubts, so he chin-stroked and said his own thoughts, if what he said is true, then we must be careful. Su Ji Tian said firmly, this martial arts gathering is getting interesting. The elder walked up to Su Ji Tian, stroked his beard, and suddenly said, it seems like Yi Changxian said something just now. Master, which made Su Ji Tian a bit confused, suddenly the elder broke out in a cold sweat, turned around in shock and said to Su Ji Tian, could it be that Li Changming has received the sword transmission from the expert? This statement caught Su Ji Tian's attention, but he quickly regained his composure and turned away. Before leaving, he also said to the two elders behind him, let's go, thinking too much now is useless. Before the martial arts gathering, I still have to play chess with Yi Changxian, so when the time comes, you guys think of a way to persuade him. Seeing that Su Ji Tian was still in the mood for chess, the two elders behind foolishly looked at each other and divided their tasks. Su Ji Tian looked at the crowd in front of him and challenged, let this old man see which great figure can make you confident because you have such a backing, after all, he is a holy figure in which direction. The scene then shifted to a peaceful and calm sky, with the gentle sunlight slowly melting and spreading over the ground, painting it in a strange, warm golden color. Yi Changqing was sitting quietly at the familiar small wooden table in the courtyard, enjoying the music too. Explained to Qing Shui, when suddenly he sneezed, the young man absent-mindedly looked up at the clouds, at the sky, his eyes seeming indifferent and unconcerned, his finger raised to scratch his nose as he wondered to himself. Who could possibly be thinking of me? Qing Shui noticed Yi Changqing's expression clearly, unable to help but raise her eyebrows with a bit of worry, her cheeks blushing delicately as she asked, Great Master Yi, what's wrong? Yi Changqing's face was extremely indifferent, his finger still at his nose, looking up at her. Later, Yi Changqing extended his finger, his eyes looking down at his hand. His finger gently stroked and casually replied, oh, no problem. Then, Yi Changqing conveniently threw that precious thing far away. He smiled brightly like fireworks and asked, Qing Shui lady passing by here, upon hearing his question, Qing Shui's face lit up with joy and a little radiance. She replied, yes, Yi great master. Yi Changqing's smile became stiff and forced. He reminded, it's not early anymore. His heart at this moment was filled with how many dark thoughts, the deep dark showing a fierce, wild and untamed appearance. He silently expressed, can you think about leaving here? It's hard for a young and single man like me to restrain himself. Qing Shui seemed enlightened, the quiet candle suddenly lit up. She realized the reason and clapped her hands together, saying, ah. You're right. Yi Changqing did not show a clear attitude, but in his heart he silently thought, it's good to hear you understand, in case I really can't control myself. However, people like Qing Shui were as if shrouded in fog, overshadowed by the talent of Yi Changqing. She ignored the usual reasoning, disregarding how Yi Changqing might feel, and in the blink of an eye said, so Qing Shui will temporarily stay at Yi Great Master's place for one night. Disregarding the dignity of a young lady, the tranquility of a cultivator she should have, she hastily got up and ran back to the main room. Qing Shui felt delighted in her heart. If she stayed here, she could continue to meet Yi Changqing tomorrow and learn from him about music and art. Yi Changqing was astonished, as if this was no longer his home. He reached out in confusion, trying to stop her. Didn't you ask for my opinion? But the other person insisted stubbornly, not hearing what he said. Yi Changqing couldn't stop her, his hand hanging helplessly in the air, his face showing both helplessness and silent anger as he cursed in his mind, these cultivating immortals are truly. Yi Changqing disappointedly slumped down, his hand on the guqin, feeling anxious and sighing at the strange behavior of these cultivating immortals. Yi Changqing furrowed his brows irritably, muttering words full of contempt, cultivating immortals, what can they possibly want to do? After days of continuous interaction with people cultivating immortals, not only were they eccentric, but also annoyingly disobedient. It was evident that Yi Changqing was already fed up. Placing his hand on the guitar string, Yi Changqing pondered. Suddenly, the taut string emitted faint golden rays of light. Yi Changqing thought to himself, don't add effects to me anymore. Seeing this phenomenon, Yi Changqing abruptly froze, like a bolt of lightning striking in broad daylight. He suddenly realized something and thought to himself, wait and see. Yi Changqing carefully thought about cultivators like Yan Bing Xian, Qing Shui, the holy master He Changxian, or Lu Changhe. He began to piece together each detail meticulously and reasoned, although everyone in this world has spiritual roots, their level and understanding of the realm of calligraphy can be described as a disaster, so after seeing my work, they will worship me. Yi Changqing raised his brows, crossed his hands in front of his chest, and thought as his eyes darted back and forth, realizing the obvious. Yi Changqing's eyes suddenly lit up, he clapped his hands together, thinking, if that's the case, then all I need is more people to like my work. Yi Changqing reached out, his hands stiffening and shaking, he clenched his fist tightly thinking about the future, his spirit soaring. Then I want to be famous in this world, it's not a problem anymore. Yi Changqing's face turned pale, he lifted his leg and kicked the table in frustration. If you live without a dream, you're no different from a miserable fish, Yi Changqing growled, each word firm, his eyes determined, filled with enthusiasm. He pointed his finger to the sky, tightly closing his eyes, setting his goal firmly. Take my work to the capital city of Dayan. The sky was blue with white clouds. As Yi Changqing spoke, he suddenly stopped, his finger pointing aimlessly in the air, contemplating. But outside this world are all spirit beasts, wild beasts. Yi Changqing suddenly thought of himself facing a giant demon beast, sending shivers down his spine. His face turned pale, sweat constantly pouring down as he thought, a handsome young man, without any spiritual roots, unable to defeat anyone, how can I safely reach the capital city? Yet in reality, he was the most domineering youth in this server. Thinking about the fighting style of the cultivating immortals that he had encountered before, Yi Changqing felt anxious and sweaty. Do I have to beg those immortals for help? After exchanging blows and arguing for a while, both sides paused and gathered in a tea house to continue their discussion. He Changxian also did not neglect his guest, warmly offering tea. Su Lao, try this exceptional enlightenment tea. The aroma of the tea filled the room. Everyone present could almost feel it. Su Ji Tian delicately touched the teacup and immediately recognized it, exclaiming in surprise, oh, this tea is brewed from extremely rare enlightenment leaves. He Changxian casually replied, it's nothing special, just some enlightenment leaves. It was clear that this tea was incredibly rare, and even though it was just a small amount, Su Ji Tian was delighted to savor its flavor, lifting his head to enjoy the taste of the tea. He Changxian joyfully added, in the past, I used to drink tea made from fully refined tea leaves. His following statement made Su Ji Tian snap out of his enjoyment. Yin Chang Feng only saw the master tightly gripping the hot tea cup in his hand and asked, Master, are you okay? Su Ji Tian was extremely irritated, perhaps jealous that he Changxian had once drunk authentic refined tea, while he could only enjoy leftover tea. Feeling a mix of anger and jealousy, he suppressed his emotions and replied to his disciple, It's nothing, just a sudden rise in blood pressure. But just as everyone was peacefully enjoying the delicious tea, a sudden tremor shook the ground. This phenomenon immediately startled Su Ji Tian, who jumped up and asked loudly, What's happening? The elder looked towards the main entrance, a hint of pride on his face as he said, It seems that Changming has successfully broken through. He sighed, looking at everyone, and deliberately emphasized, in just 1 month, he has achieved such levels of proficiency. At the same time, Yuan Jian ran ahead of Su Ji Tian and poured oil in front of his 2 disciples. Changming really has a talent for swordsmanship. Hearing everything clearly, Yin Chang Feng couldn't help but be surprised. His face tense, only been practicing for a month. Seeing his expression, Yuan Jian pretended to be innocent and asked, Yin Chang Feng, why are you shaking? He was so angry that he felt the people from the Holy Land Tai Xian. Trying to suppress it, Chang Feng looked for a reason to cover up, It's nothing. Just my blood pressure suddenly got a bit high. Yin Chang Feng frowned, silently thinking, how can he have such powerful sword chi after only practicing for a month? Li Changming. You can deceive others, but you can't deceive someone who has practiced swordsmanship for nearly 100 years like me. Chang Feng pressed his hand against his forehead, a light purple aura gently swirling in the air gradually condensing in front of him. The power increasing every moment. With suspicion, envy, and jealousy, Yin Chang Feng used his power to unleash a move. He growled angrily, Dream on. His attack quickly surged from the main hall to the tall tower opposite. At this time, the tower was emitting a large dark green aura surrounding it. It demonstrates an extraordinary power, with the spiritual weapon condensing into a spirit sword on top of the tower. Yin Chang Feng's attack rushed forward, but it looked so small compared to that aura. As predicted beforehand, his strike seemed formidable, but in reality, it could not pierce through the thin layer of the tower, even on the verge of dissipation. Seeing this scene clearly, Yin Chang Feng's hair stood on end, he was both bewildered and amazed, muttering, Impossible. Yet the scene still displayed a dazzling power before his eyes, not decreasing in the slightest, but growing stronger with each moment, the source of the spiritual weapon abundant and soft moving in the air. Yin Chang Feng began to feel dizzy, he had been sweating since who knows when. Unable to restrain himself, he exclaimed, This is the pure essence of swordsmanship, yet Li Changming managed to surpass it in just a month with physical training. He seemed to be falling into despair, his pride seemed to be trampled mercilessly. Yin Chang Feng's face darkened, full of anger, only regretting not being able to immediately regain his prestige. He cursed under his breath, Detestable. This Yin Chang Feng's ego is truly too big, he is just like the master. Zi Qing, the pride of the Holy Land, is not easily extinguished. Unable to accept it for a moment, he didn't hesitate and started to gather his inner chi. Seconds later, his aura gathered, summoning his treasured sword. The clear treasured sword appeared with anger and envy, as he firmly stated, I must see it with my own eyes. Chang Feng wielded his sword and swiftly flew away, leaving behind a lingering aura in the room. Although arrogant, Su Ji Tian knew this time it would be difficult. Worried for his beloved disciple, he quickly raised his hand to try to chase after and stop the commotion. He shouted, Chang Feng, don't be too impulsive. But before Su Ji Tian could do anything, he was restrained by a hand. He Chang Xian stood behind the old friend and gently reminded, if you're not impulsive, then you're not young anymore. Su Ji Tian had no choice but to stop in his tracks. He frowned in anger, gritting his teeth, I'm sure the most confident side now is he Chang Xian and the elders of the Holy Land Tai Xian. After so many years hidden in society, they finally have the opportunity to show themselves. Chang Feng rode his sword towards the towering mountains, majestic and imposing, with misty fog floating around and birds circling in the sky, his spiritual weapon truly powerful. As he looked down below, Chang Feng suddenly stopped when he spotted his target, sneering, "Found you." He continued flying towards Shan Feng, where Li Changming was meditating. Li Changming was still cultivating, fingers forming seals in front of him, softly chanting, "The sword of the wise circles endlessly." A bright and powerful formation surrounded him, fierce winds swirling around, thunder roaring, wind shaking, the unpredictable changing, the magic controlling the heavens and the earth, filled with anger. Li Changming's eyes widened as he shouted, "Sword open," his large sword above seeming to stir, the energy growing stronger with each passing moment, the fierce winds and lightning becoming terrifying. Chang Feng was unable to open his eyes due to this powerful force. He reflexively raised his hand to shield himself, gritting his teeth in frustration as the sword chi of Li Changming shattered everything in its path, standing in the midst of the awe-inspiring battle formation, looking exceptionally powerful. Chang Feng could not escape the shock when he opened his eyes wide and saw the surprising scene in front of him. In his heart, he couldn't help but feel confused when he exclaimed, "I can't believe this guy has trained to become the ultimate swordsman." Chang Feng was not a patient person. As soon as he saw the scene, he couldn't wait and his sword rushed forward. Wanting to see the situation clearly, he was still astonished when he said, "It can't be." Li Changming stood in a perfect formation at this moment, seeming more alert than ever. In just less than 3 seconds, he heard a distant noise and closed his eyes tightly to sense every bit. Finally, he detected an evil energy. In the reaction of a cultivator, Li Changming did not hesitate to make a sneak attack. The sword immediately flew under his control. On Chang Feng's face, a ray of light appeared as he saw the sword rushing towards him. He quickly sweated and furrowed his brows, quickly saying, "Not good." The sword came closer and he hurriedly dodged, but not in time. The sword passed through and chopped off his handsome hair, revealing his unprotected forehead. It was precisely because of this sudden ambush that Chang Feng stood unsteadily, his body swaying and falling off the sword. Li Changming stopped practicing his skills, gently landing, the aura lingering around his body. Li Changming opened his eyes, the mark of the spirit sword appearing on his forehead. No one noticed something falling and preparing to hit the ground, as Li Changming was the center of attention at that moment. He raised his hand, a small spiritual ball existing in the palm of his hand, symbolizing his power. Li Changming joyfully said, "The realm has stabilized, truly worthy of the teachings of the master." The junior brothers beside him continued to applaud joyfully, saying in unison, "Congratulations, senior Li brother, congratulations, holy son." But in that peaceful moment, the sounds of roosters crowing and dogs barking behind them suddenly erupted loudly, causing them to pause their actions and look back. Chang Feng was knocked unconscious and lying on the ground, his face also dented into the earth. Soon, the others gathered around to look, all wearing puzzled and curious expressions. Li Changming spoke up, "Doesn't he look a lot like Chang Feng from the Ziqing Holy Land?" The junior brothers were stunned and observed, some daring to make conjectures based on Chang Feng's appearance. "The hair of this senior brother is quite thin, he looks older than senior brother." Junior brother realized a moment later. He turned to Li Changming and said, "Holy son senior brother, this is holy son." Li Changming was still puzzled about what was happening. He didn't even realize he was the culprit, saying, "What happened to him? Quickly, take him to the room." Cut to later, when Li Changming brought Chang Feng inside, he poured a cup of hot tea for Chang Feng. Li Changming handed the tea over and said, Brother, drink tea and calm down." At this moment, Chang Feng was still scared. He kept trembling, hugging himself like a frightened little puppy. Chang Feng took the cup of tea in his hand. He drank it to calm down. Li Changming also asked, Brother, do you remember now?" After finishing the tea, Chang Feng still didn't understand Li Changming's question. "What does he want me to remember?" He is the one who practices swordsmanship, and he is the one who doesn't attack. Li Changming pointed and said, just now, you fell from the sky, we saw it and brought you here. Li Changming smiled and said, but now you are fine. Chang Feng's mood improved as well, he smiled and touched his head, that's good then. However, when he touched his hair, he panicked because Li Changming had cut his bangs with a sword. His forehead was clearly visible now, and when he touched it, he let out a confused and angry yell, where is my bangs? Chang Feng lost his composure, slammed the teacup on the table, and grabbed Li Changming's collar, demanding, Li Changming, why did you switch to sword cultivation? And how did you merge sword and person in just a short month? Li Changming was grabbed by the collar, he didn't resist and awkwardly replied, I received guidance from a noble person, who advised me to switch to sword cultivation. Yin Chang Feng suddenly stopped, his face pondering silently in his mind, who could change the cultivation path of the Holy Sun. A moment later, Yin Chang Feng also let go of Li Changming's collar, he began to consider deeply. What if he could also be guided by that expert? How would it be? In a short time, Li Changming could become powerful, but he couldn't, why? So Yin Chang Feng weighed the pros and cons, he pretended to scratch his head and said, I was too happy for Li Junior Brother just now, I was rude. But who is this noble person that Junior Brother mentioned? Li Changming leaned close to Yin Chang Feng's ear, looking mysterious and whispered, let me tell you. That person is. Li Changming opened his mouth near Yin Chang Feng's ear and uttered a decisive word, secret. All of Yin Chang Feng's expectations were shattered in an instant, his face filled with confusion and incomprehension. Li Changming shook his head and shrugged, his face filled with regret as he explained, it's not because of my selfishness, but because the Holy Master has ordered everyone not to mention this expert. Then Li Changming also illustrated the severity of the issue. He laughed with a sinister and ferocious expression and said, anyone who violates the rules will be immediately expelled from Taishan Holy Land. Time passed like a dog running across a field, just like that, a day went by, the next day, the martial arts tournament that everyone was eagerly anticipating began. The sky was exceptionally beautiful today, with the gentle sunlight like a fairy covering the earth and warming humanity. At Taishan Holy Land, a large number of people had gathered in the courtyard to watch the events. Everyone enthusiastically shouted, Taishan Holy Land is strong, Taishan Holy Land is full of hope. On the viewing platform, an elder stepped forward. He glanced around and then asked Qingyi, where is the Holy Master Senior Brother? Sitting down right next to him, Qingyi, while leisurely enjoying hot tea, replied, he has gone to compete in a chess match with Su Ji Tian. The elder sighed with concern, I hope there is some potential this year. At the same time, He Chang Xian, who was feeling a bit itchy, sneezed. At that moment, Su Ji Tian and He Chang Xian were sitting in a small pavilion in a green bamboo forest. After sneezing, He Chang Xian wondered, why do I have the feeling someone is talking about me behind my back? Su Ji Tian was very excited, he reached towards the chess box and said, hey brother, let's play a quick game this time, one game to determine the winner. Su Ji Tian took out a chess piece and asked, can we increase the stakes in the middle, how about that? He Chang Xian, very confident, calmly responded, sure. Su Ji Tian calmly reached out towards He Chang Xian and said with a smile, please, on the wooden chessboard. He Chang Xian gently placed the black chess piece, admitting softly, Brother Su, your four dragons spouting water formation is truly powerful, I have not been able to break it for years. He Chang Xian furrowed his brow and asked, has someone taught you this technique? Su Ji Tian calmly picked up a white chess piece. His face darkening as he asked, have you heard of the renowned master Nan Gong before? He Chang Xian, who was initially calm, couldn't help but exclaim in astonishment, are you talking about Nan Gong Xian Su, who is considered the top expert in Zhongzhou now? Su Ji Tian smirked, his face full of satisfaction, and replied, yes, I have received guidance from him. He Chang Xian's face showed no emotion as he said, so that's how it is, I didn't expect you to receive the help of the Holy One. He Changxian then had a smug look on his face as he asked, to be honest, it seems like you still think you can win this battle. Su Ji Tian replied in a mocking tone, not really, I'm just not as petty as you, keeping secrets like a baby about your senior, refusing to reveal any information. Su Ji Tian glanced disdainfully at He Changxian, the two old men staring at each other like enemies, their eyes seeming to shoot lightning bolts across the sky. Feeling insulted by Su Ji Tian, He Changxian couldn't help but laugh coldly. Am I petty? He then showed his generosity, letting others see how magnanimous he could be, making it clear he was not someone to be underestimated. He Changxian summoned glittering treasures with a flashy spell, adding to the bet confidently saying, I'll bet 5 more spiritual treasures. Su Ji Tian was surprised by He Changxian's confidence, as it was the first time he had seen him put such a high price, gaping and exclaiming, Are you out of your mind? I have the support of Nan Gong Sr. He Changxian was not only unshaken by the status of the Nan Gong family, but he also confidently replied, Don't worry, Senior Su, I don't need any special treatment. If you have the skill, just use it. With the knowledge that Yi Changqing had imparted, He Changxian lifted a chess piece, preparing to make a cunning move. As He Changxian's hand moved forward with determination, the chess piece touched the wooden board, emitting a dazzling sparkle. This caused Su Ji Tian to be shocked and unable to believe that he couldn't see through any of He Changxian's moves until now. Su Ji Tian was astounded. What? It's impossible, I can't believe he could find a way out in the water-spouting 4-dragon formation. In just a stick of incense later, following the teachings of Yi Changqing, He Changxian successfully broke through all the exits in Su Ji Tian's water-spouting 4-dragon formation. The mysterious gaze of He Changxian whispered to himself, compared to Master Yi, this so-called genius is just a child. The scent of lily wafted gently, carried by the breeze, mingling with Su Ji Tian's denial as he was about to lose. Su Ji Tian was still bewildered, angry and frustrated, his breath quickened with anger, his eyes widened as he questioned, Who taught you this technique? He Changxian stroked his beard with a pleasant smile, but deep down he felt a sense of satisfaction that only he knew. Brother Su, do not ask any more, I will not say, questioning is useless. The mouth of this He family elder was sealed tight. Su Ji Tian was at a loss, he seemed to think helplessly, Did you play fair? His hand under the table, he took out a spirit stone, the block of spirit stone emitted a faint light. Su Ji Tian felt as if he had found a lifeline, he smirked evilly thinking, Then don't blame me. Outside, the soft light still shone down on the bamboo forest. Su Ji Tian held the stone discreetly, transmitting his energy to it, as if he had reached a dead end, determined not to lose. Su Ji Tian thought to himself, He Changxian, you forced me into this, luckily I have given Master Nan Gong a sample of the spirit stone. Su Ji Tian seized the opportunity to strike when the time was right. The green light stone quickly flew away, through the forest, through the layers of dense mountains. With this stone, even if they were at the ends of the earth, he and Nan Gong could still communicate. Nan Gong Xian Su could easily buff him. At this moment, in a secluded room, Nan Gong Xian Su was sitting quietly, cultivating. Su Ji Tian's voice transmitted from the communication stone, Mr. Nan Gong, Mr. Nan Gong. Nan Gong Xian Su received the communication stone, which continuously emitted Su Ji Tian's hurried voice, Nan Gong Sr., Nan Gong Xian Su frowned as he observed the stone. He finally spoke, Su Holy Master, what business do you have with this old man? Su Ji Tian was in a dilemma. Hastily conveying the news to Nan Gong Xian Su, your 4th dragon's water technique is about to be unraveled. Upon hearing this, Nan Gong Xian Su was startled. Oh, the technique that took me more than 1,000 years to create, how could someone unravel it? Quickly tell me his method. Nan Gong Xian Su raised his hand, the image of the extremely high-level chessboard that Su Ji Tian sent into the model stone appeared incredibly sharp. Nan Gong Xian Su put his hand on the image, looking at this delicate chessboard, he couldn't help but praise, the miracle is truly a miracle. A look of interest appeared on his face, and he said, I didn't realize there were so many possibilities in this situation. Just hearing this, Suji Tian felt like thunderstruck, startled. Nan Gong Sr., are you also at a loss? Nan Gong Xian Su smiled confidently and replied, at a loss. After all, I have cultivated the Tao my whole life, how could I be easily defeated by others? Nan Gong Xian Su also pointed out a new path for Suji Tian, I believe that only by breaking and rebuilding can we win in danger. Suji Tian clenched the model stone tightly, full of confidence. His face beamed with satisfaction. Nan Gong Sr. said, He Chang Xian is surely losing. With that thought in mind, Suji Tian proposed, He brother, why don't we make a big bet? He Chang Xian immediately agreed, all right, what do you want to bet on? Without much thought, Suji Tian quickly replied, it's simple, on He Chang Xian's person, he carries two ancient treasures, one is intermediate grade and the other is superior grade. How about we bet on this? He Chang Xian, deep in thought, silently evaluated, two ancient treasures. Without much hesitation, He Chang Xian closed his eyes and thought, but why does he brother feel like something is not right? Hearing that his opponent had figured it out, Suji Tian smiled and replied, exactly, I am willing to bet two ancient treasures not only to play a game, but also to bet on who the expert in your mouth really is. And so the two old men were extremely bloodthirsty, one making a move and the other immediately countering, one attacking while the other blocked every move, their fierce and excited auras emanating in all directions in the bamboo forest. After a short period of time, the result seemed clear. Nan Gong Xian Su personally entered the battle, and He Chang Xian gradually lost his initial momentum. He Chang Xian looked at the chessboard at this moment and sweat dripped down, whispering to himself, this is not right, why did Suji Tian's chessboard suddenly change? Suji Tian still held the block of jade in his hand, seeing his opponent in a weak position, he spoke up, He Xian, why are you so tense? He Chang Xian felt trapped and his anger rose, but he suppressed his emotions, stood up and said, I have urgent matters to attend to, please wait a moment, Su Elder. Suji Tian was leading the game and did not pay attention to the fact that his opponent might play dirty like him. After He Chang Xian left, he silently praised, indeed, Nan Gong Sr. is formidable. The opponent no longer has the strength to fight back. He Chang Xian quickly walked out, clasping his hands together, preparing to flee. In his mind, he calculated, I will run first and then seek guidance from Master Yi for a few moves. With that, he made plans to meet again in the next practice session. In the bright summer sun, the scene shifted at Chongqing's convenience store, marking the beginning of a new day. Yi Chongqing was leisurely sweeping the front yard when he noticed some movement in the garbage pile. After a moment's observation, he saw a wooden card peeking out, still trembling in fear. Approaching the garbage pile, Yi Chongqing bent down, picked up the card, and wondered to himself, is this the wooden card that Master He gave me? What's going on? Suddenly, the wooden card in his hand jumped up, emitting a panicked voice, Yi Senior. Startled by the sound, Yi Chongqing's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the card, hearing He Chang Xian's panicked and pleading voice. Yi Senior, please save me. Shocked and puzzled, Yi Chongqing opened his eyes wide and exclaimed, is this a video calling tool for cultivating immortals? Seeing He Chang Xian's desperate expression, with tears in his eyes, pleading, Yi Senior, I'm in trouble, you must help me, Yi Chongqing was extremely surprised. Yi Chongqing couldn't help but step back in surprise and said, you speak first, sir. He Chang Xian didn't hesitate, immediately projecting a chessboard image for Yi Chongqing to see. The scene of him being bullied by others was displayed very vividly, with clear images that were no less inferior to Suji Tian's screen. He Chang Xian eagerly asked, Sir, please quickly see how the black pieces should move to escape the encirclement. Looking at the difficult situation on the chessboard, Yi Chongqing's face was very stern, his eyebrows furrowed impatiently. He scornfully asked, is that all you can do? However, Mr. He seemed truly desperate, crying and pleading for his help. This sight gave Yi Changqing chills, and he reached out helplessly to support his forehead. In the end, he decided to help him, saying, "Forget it, just do as I say." With Yi Changqing's consent, Yi Changxian felt relieved and gratefully said, "Yes, thank you, Yi Senior." Yi Changxian glanced inside, his eyes filled with confidence and cunning, silently smiling to himself, "Master personally enters the battle, this time it will be fine." Not long after, Yi Changxian also entered and sat down in his seat, smiling as he said, "Brother Su, have you been waiting long?" Su Ji Tian impatiently curled his lip and replied, seeing Brother He so relaxed, "Have you perhaps found a way to break the siege?" Yi Changxian did not respond, his eyes tightly closed. He reached out to pick up a black chess piece, focusing on Yi Changqing's instructions, placed the black piece at the 8th position, breaking the connection between two pieces. Yi Changxian immediately followed the directions, found his target, and then placed his piece down. Seeing Yi Changxian's move, Su Ji Tian's expression became unpleasant, thinking, this move was unexpected. Nan Gongxian Su, observing the game, understood the situation and would not let Su Ji Tian suffer a disadvantage, so he advised, "White to 9, reinforce." Su Ji Tian quickly realized this and promptly made the move to turn the situation around. Yi Changqing, without hesitation, instructed he, "Black to 10, connect heaven and earth." Yi Changxian, remaining calm, made the move as directed. Nan Gongxian Su seemed to become anxious, forcefully saying. The saying goes, 33 white stones, 33 black stones. Su Ji Tian immediately lowered his white flag. This was not just a battle between Su Ji Tian and Yi Changxian, but could be said to be an indirect battle between Nan Gongxian Su and Yi Changqing. Seeing Su Ji Tian lower his flag, Nan Gongxian Su on the other side regained some confidence, saying, "Let's see how you respond." But Yi Changqing, on the other side, did not pay much attention to this move, saying, "Don't struggle anymore." Yi Changqing saw that the current chess situation was no longer difficult. The talented opponent has been resolved. Although the white pieces are strong, it is time to exhaust them. Yi Changqing unleashed his energy, shouting out his final move. On the other side, Yi Changxian was also tense, imitating Yi Changqing's posture, raising his hand high to make a move. Su Ji Tian and Nan Gongxian Su on the other side saw the scene in front of them and were stunned. It seemed like a large and majestic dragon, emitting a dazzling golden light. The dragon's path was wherever it wanted, powerful and with an incredibly imposing presence. With just a small move called Dragon Breaking Stone, Yi Changqing created a magnificent scene. Su Ji Tian and Nan Gongxian Su were both utterly stunned. Nan Gongxian Su's face was drenched in sweat as he exclaimed, "How can this be?" Su Ji Tian's scalp tightened, his eyes widened in disbelief. Senior Nan Gong has actually lost. Looking at the exceedingly simple position before him, Yi Changqing's face showed an extremely displeased expression, thinking to himself, "This old man treats me like a bug to exploit hacks." With victory leaning towards him, Yi Changxian was overjoyed, his heart blooming with happiness. Holding the wooden token in his hand, he raised his fist to cover his mouth as he laughed quietly, thinking, "Thank you, Senior Yi, thank you, Senior Yi," at this moment. Su Ji Tian was petrified, he still couldn't believe that after years of pride in his victories, he would lose so unexpectedly today. Yi Changqing on the other side responded, "If there's nothing else, I'll be logging off now." Meanwhile, Nan Gongxian Su, clutching a stone in his hand, was so furious at this defeat that he felt like coughing up blood. His body trembled uncontrollably, and his voice quivered involuntarily. "I have been cultivating the way of chess for nearly 3,000 years, and Nan Gongxian Su still cannot believe what just transpired before his eyes." His body continued to tremble as he acknowledged that he had once considered himself the unparalleled champion in the realm of chess. Now, not only had someone broken his strategy, but they had also defeated him in the art of chess. Nan Gongxian Su was tense, a slight sheen of sweat forming on his forehead, his brows furrowed deeply in concentration, and his eyes bloodshot as he shouted into the stone, "Su Holy Master, where exactly are you right now?" Determined to uncover the identity of the opponent who had managed to defeat a chess genius like him, Nan Gongxian Su was resolute. Su Ji Tian, still bewildered by his loss, was startled by another question from Nan Gongxian Su. "Who are you playing against?" Su Ji Tian, on the verge of tears, replied, "Holy Master Tai Xian, in the northern De Yen kingdom." With teary eyes, Su Ji Tian looked up and said, "The person I was playing against is Holy Master Chang Xian Zhenren of Holy Land Tai Xian, but behind him is a mysterious expert, even I don't know who it is." Who could have imagined that the imposing Holy Master He Chang Xian, the figure of authority, was actually backed by the owner of a simple grocery store, someone without even spiritual roots, yet truly the most formidable individual on this entire server? Upon hearing this, Nan Gongxian Su immediately recognized the situation and interrupted, "I understand." Unable to wait any longer, he flew at an extremely fast speed towards the northern Holy Land Tai Xian, riding his sword. Passing over numerous mountains, soaring through skies filled with blue clouds, gliding through the early morning mist of the hills, and alongside birds in flight, Nan Gongxian Su could hardly contain his agitation. Driven by curiosity and ambition, he pushed himself to the limit, his eyes resolute, his teeth clenched, thinking, "I must meet this expert. If not, my cultivation will stagnate here forever." In truth, every cultivator desires to become stronger. Even though Nan Gongxian Su was over 3,000 years old, he still wanted to advance further. His determined eyes and attitude clearly showed this. Meanwhile, at Yi Changqing's small house, he had just ended the call with Yi Changxian. Still holding the wooden token, he let out a heavy sigh, thinking to himself, "I haven't played this kind of chess since middle school." He walked into the courtyard, reflecting on the simplicity of the game he had just helped with compared to his current skills. At this moment, Qing Shui was still sitting there, focused on practicing with the guzheng. Her eyes were closed tightly, trying to produce the most gentle, wonderful, and elegant sounds. Meanwhile, Yi Changqing was still pondering over the simple chessboard in his heart, thinking, "Next time, increase the difficulty a little bit." Qing Shui's hand suddenly stopped on the guzheng, realizing that the piece she had just played perfectly broke off. She smiled brightly and asked, "Yi Great Master, is there any problem with the piece I just played?" Yi Changqing approached the table, poured a cup of tea, and leisurely drank it without any hurry. After finishing the cup of tea, he decisively placed the empty cup down. Yi Changqing contemplated and commented, "Overall, this piece is quite good, but it lacks a certain feeling." Qing Shui immediately showed a mix of confusion and worry on her beautiful face. "A feeling? Is this a new teaching method?" Curiously, she tilted her head and asked, "What exactly is the feeling you're talking about?" Yi Changqing racked his brain to find the most suitable phrase, then he raised his head, clapped his hands together, and said, "It depends on desire." He then embraced himself, expressing a sense of urgency as he explained. "In your playing, you have focused too much on technique and neglected the emotions of the music." Yi Changqing expressed his feelings through his actions, raising his arm high as he sighed, "You must learn to follow your heart's desires and unleash your true nature." Qing Shui lowered her head, her eyes filled with curiosity and confusion. She looked at her fair hands and silently repeated these words to herself, "Follow your heart's desires, unleash your true nature." Standing still for a moment, she used her extremely intelligent mind to analyze and ponder the meaning until she finally grasped the concept. Could this be what the Holy Master once spoke of, the highest meaning of the Tao of music? The Immaculate Heart Realm. Yi Changqing closed his eyes and, with a hint of frustration, placed his hands on his hips and said, "All right, let me play this piece again. Listen carefully and feel it." He genuinely wanted to help her improve her musical skills. Then he moved to his seat, placing his hands on the zither, ready to play a simple melody. As soon as he began, the instrument seemed to melt away under his talent, transforming the music into an ethereal experience. Emitting mystical rays of light, Yi Changqing closed his eyes tightly and began to play the zither. The sweet and melodious sound spread everywhere, even causing people on the busy street to pause and listen. The music seemed transcendent, its clear and soothing melody melting into people's hearts, enchanting everyone, making it hard for them to pull away. The elderly in the nearby shop also strained their ears, as if grasping a precious treasure, unable to stop once they heard this ethereal music. They exclaimed in admiration, "Oh my! The music has changed. This must be the music played by Mr. Yi himself." Quickly, people began to compare the music of Qing Shui and Yi Changqing, noticing a clear difference. Indeed, this realm is completely different from the previous music. The scene focused back on Yi Changqing, his graceful and agile hands skillfully gliding over the taut strings of the zither. Finally, he stopped, looking up with a natural smile and asked, "How does it feel?" At that moment, Qing Shui, seemingly overwhelmed by the mystical melody, found her body trembling uncontrollably after experiencing such enchanting music. Qing Shui's expression after hearing the melody was like she was thoroughly enjoying it, with great love in her eyes. She replied, "Just now, Yi Great Master spoke wisely, Qing Shui needs to try harder." After Yi Changqing finished playing the music, he stood up and said, "You can feel it well." He left his position and walked inside, saying, "It's not early anymore, let's call it a day." Qing Shui stood there, looking puzzled, then bit her lower lip tightly, and finally turned around quickly, calling out, "Yi Great Master." She stood there and expressed her innermost thoughts, "Qing Shui has been here for a while now, and I plan to leave tomorrow." Yi Changqing, upon hearing this, showed a surprised expression on his face, and exclaimed, "Oh, you want to leave already?" He wanted to laugh on the outside but couldn't, thinking to himself, "Indeed, it's still a matter of revenge." But still unable to understand the content, Qing Shui always couldn't understand, afraid that only Yi Great Master could understand. The girl gathered all her courage, tensely handed the ancient book to Yi Changqing and said, "So, Qing Shui wants to give it to you." Yi Changqing also reached out to take this item. He quickly opened the book to read, quickly absorbing all the meanings in it. Yi Changqing glanced through it for a few seconds and then opened his mouth to say, "The characters on it seem to have been deliberately messed up by someone." Yi Changqing smiled, then raised his hand to suggest, "But it's not impossible to decipher, let me try tonight." At the same time, the conversation turned to the bloody showdown in the bamboo forest. The forest now seemed to have a different light, as someone had emerged victorious. For Su Ji Tian, it was something he couldn't just let go. He Changxian seemed quite pleased after winning. Stroking his long beard he said, "Su brother, the match just now was definitely a rare masterpiece." Su Ji Tian was very angry, but still managed to respond to his words, "The current skill of he brother is truly eye-opening." Then he also took out a ring and placed it on the chessboard, pushing it towards He Changxian. "Both treasures are in this ring, brother, take it." He Changxian observed the spoils of war in front of him. He was so happy that he wanted to cry, but inwardly he thought happily, after losing for so many years, finally there is a day of victory. Then he turned to Su Ji Tian, who was feeling down and waved his hand, saying loudly, "Su brother, go relax." He Changxian felt like a flower blooming, holding the ring in his hand and admiring it. Behind the wall, Yuan Jian couldn't resist his curiosity and ran out to eavesdrop. His face was all smiles at the victory of senior brother. Yuan Jian raised his thumb and said, "Congratulations, Holy Master senior brother, today you can finally be happy." He Changxian seemed to be in complete shock, trembling with tears in his eyes, saying, "If it weren't for the dedicated guidance of Yi Master, I fear I would never be able to win in this life." Yuan Jian eagerly turned to ask, "Senior brother, quickly take out the two treasures to see." He Changxian also wanted to see what they were, so he complied. The old man's finger began to perform magic straight towards the ring left by Su Ji Tian, starting the process of unlocking this item. When seeing the item inside, Yuan Jian exclaimed in amazement, "This is..." In front of them appeared a black feather pen, with a strange bell emitting a mysterious red light. these two colors did not look very auspicious. Yuan Jian looked at the two items and said in awe, "Is it a pen, Nabel?" Around the black pen emitted a faint blue light. Yuan Jian observed and said in amazement, "The body of this pen seems to be made of precious crystal, it is very rare, known to emit a malevolent aura since birth, very likely to harm the divine soul of a cultivator. It is better not to mess with it." The bell emitted a dangerous dark red energy, and patterns on it were not auspicious, containing a very strong evil energy. He Changxian observed, his face dark, saying, "The evil energy is so strong, only by killing countless living beings can such a terrifying aura be produced." He Changxian solemnly evaluated, "It is an ancient treasure containing immense power. If we can make the central battlefield weapon of Mount Tai Xian our own." Upon hearing this, Yuan Jian's eyes lit up, his happiness overflowing. "In that case, we can enjoy eternal peace at Mount Tai Xian." However, He Changxian had already considered carefully, the old man turned down this idea. "But we can talk about that later, the Holy Sun Martial Arts Assembly is about to begin, let's go and see." Cut to the scene at the arena, it looked unusually peaceful. Su Ji Tian felt intimidated by the elders' piercing gaze in the Holy Land. Their eyes seemed to pierce through Su Ji Tian's body like wolves' gazes, he could feel the pressure without even looking at them. Unable to bear this pressure, Su Ji Tian turned around in shock and questioned, "Why are you all staring at me?" The old man's gloomy face showed no mercy towards Su Ji Tian. He pointed at the two treasures he had lost earlier. "Holy Master, Senior Brother, you have lost these two treasures earlier." Su Ji Tian was overwhelmed by this air of authority, sweat dripping down his face. The other elders also chimed in, questioning him. "Holy Master, can we put the loss on your tab? Even though the Ziqing Holy Land's holdings are vast, we can't sustain such wasteful spending." It was obvious they were distressed about the loss. These old men were wealthy but extremely stingy. Su Ji Tian, flustered, gestured wildly to explain, "Those are things I secretly hid away, don't worry." As soon as they heard that the losses didn't affect them, the old men relaxed. Qi Long stroked his beard and scolded, "Why didn't you say so earlier? You had us worried for nothing." Su Ji Tian, exasperated, couldn't find the words to respond. Another elder stepped forward to probe, "Why have we never heard you mention those two items before?" "Holy Master, Senior Brother," Su Ji Tian's face darkened as he replied, "because these two items are rare sources of great evil energy." Upon hearing this, the whole group jumped back and shouted, "What?" Regarding the brush and bell Su Ji Tian had left with He Changxian, according to him, they both originated from a highly malevolent land. Numerous fellow disciples had lost their lives and souls to suppress these ancient treasures until today. Turning around, Su Ji Tian gravely warned. "Even with our current cultivation, breaking the seal is not easy, and there will be serious consequences if we fail," Qi Long spoke up. "Why would you entrust such a dangerous object to Holy Master Tai Xian?" he questioned, with the other elders agreeing with Qi Long's concerns. "If our senior brother accidentally breaks that seal, won't it cause harm to the living beings?" But Su Ji Tian didn't seem worried, he turned coldly and said, "I have my own plans." Su Ji Tian stood silently, looking at the scene before him, with a sinister smile in his heart. "Dear brother, if you really break the seal, it will be a disaster for the Holy Land Tai Xian. I wonder if the mysterious senior brother in your mouth will watch on." Su Ji Tian was a cunning and ruthless fox. The elders looked at each other with concern, while Su Ji Tian relaxed on his seat. Qi Long couldn't help but ask, "Isn't senior brother's plan too dangerous?" And the other elders expressed their worries. "Tai Xian has only defeated us once, brother, don't rush to destroy someone else's home like this. If it's leaked out, it will also damage the reputation of Holy Land Ziqing," the group of elders urgently advised. "Holy Master, Senior Brother, think carefully." However, Su Ji Tian raised his hand to stop the excited junior brothers, and he solemnly said, "I know you are all worried, but I have my own calculations. The three junior brothers do not need advice. Looking at the wide courtyard in front of him, Su Ji Tian remembered something and asked, where is little girl Qing Shui? She has been at Holy Land Tai Xian for several days now and yet I haven't seen the little girl. Qi De Long stroked his beard and replied with a smile, on the way here, little girl Qing Shui heard a sound of a zither and followed that sound. It seems she has sensed some fate. Su Ji Tian nodded slightly in satisfaction, silently praising, not bad at all, although Chang Feng and Qing Shui were appointed as Holy Son and Holy Girl at the same time, with equal aptitude for cultivation, but when Qing Shui was born, she had a special aura of Tao on her, always able to coincidentally encounter beneficial opportunities for cultivation. Chang Feng was surrounded by misfortune, but Qing Shui was the opposite, emitting a golden light around her, showing her good luck. Observing the scene, as soon as Chang Feng arrived, Li Changming stuffed garlic into his mouth, and even his beautiful hair was blown away. However, Qing Shui happened to encounter the formidable Yi Changqing. Nevertheless, Yin Chang Feng also had his advantages. Su Ji Tian, with disdain, spoke up, but in terms of the positive attributes of this holy master position, if Qing Shui could have half of what Chang Feng has, it would be beneficial. Just then, there was an announcement from below the platform, inviting the two holy sons to the stage. Su Ji Tian exclaimed, "Ah," and said, "It's about to begin." Two auras, one green and one purple, gracefully swirled through the crowd, racing towards the arena. Moments later, both Li Changming and Yin Chang Feng appeared on the battlefield. The disciples of Tai Xian exclaimed upon seeing Li Changming, "Quick, look! It's senior brother Li. Since he switched to sword cultivation, he seems like a different person, almost as if he's attained a kind of Buddha-like demeanor." Li Changming stood there, clasping his hands together as if in prayer, surrounded by an aura of Buddhist light, with enthusiastic disciples cheering him on from behind. Of course, the followers of Ziqing Holy Land would not support Tai Xian Holy Land. One disciple sneered disdainfully, "No matter how much he cultivates, what difference does it make?" The disciples of Ziqing whispered, "That's right, Yin's senior brother has led the way in swordsmanship for 100 years. Yin Chang Feng exuded a deep purple aura around him, lifting his sword in hand, with the disciples of Ziqing behind him continuously cheering, their enthusiasm not inferior to Tai Xian's. Suddenly, Su Ji Tian turned his head and saw He Changxian approaching, and he also spoke up, "He brother," only lacking the presence of each senior brother in leading the grand scene. He Changxian chuckled in response, "All right then, Su senior brother has been waiting for a long time." The two holy masters sat on high observing the battle. At this moment, the martial arts convention officially began. With the auras surrounding Li Changming and Yin Chang Feng both raging. Below, the disciples were cheering loudly. Who would ultimately emerge as the victor remained to be seen. Yin Chang Feng placed his sword behind him and extended his hand towards Li Changming, saying, "Li junior brother, please enlighten me." Just then, Li Changming raised his hand and said, "Yin brother, may I say a word?" Yin Chang Feng frowned, impatiently asking, "What do you want to say?" He couldn't help but wonder, what is this guy up to? Li Changming remained calm, clasping his hands together as usual. The light around him was very similar to Tang Sanzang when he obtained the scriptures. Changming said, "I have only been practicing swordsmanship for half a year now, still far behind in skill. Looking around the Holy Land Tai Xian, the only one who can compete with Yin brother in swordmanship is junior sister Wu Shuang." Yin Chang Feng, upon hearing this, immediately thought of the figure of the girl named Wu Shuang. He frowned and asked, "Are you talking about Lu Wu Shuang, the female swordsman from Tai Xian Holy Land?" Yin Chang Feng, feeling very disdainful, thought he was being mocked and provoked, pointed his sword at Li Changming and exclaimed, "She is just an ordinary disciple. How can she be compared to us, two noble holy sons?" Li Changming, as always, exuded radiance. He raised his finger and said, "Yin brother, you don't know yet, Wu Shuang junior sister's sword technique is definitely superior to mine. Upon hearing this, Yin Changfeng also felt a bit tense. He was slightly anxious in his heart. Li Changming has already reached the essence of swordsmanship. If what he said is true, how strong will Lu Wushuang be? Then Yin Changfeng looked up, gazing toward Su Ji Tian high above with determination. No, it's not easy to have the opportunity to show. When Dan Tai Chin Shui is not here, absolutely cannot lose this match in front of the Holy Master. Yin Changfeng thought that way, so he clenched his lips looking resolute, tightly gripping the sword in his hand. Yin Changfeng turned to Li Changming seriously. Li Junior brother, stop messing around, let's compete with each other. Unable to wait any longer, Yin Changfeng's face turned dark with anger, his body glowing purple. Holding his sword, he rushed towards Li Changming shouting loudly, watch this move. But at that moment, a sudden shock occurred around them. A strong light erupted from behind the houses, a giant sword appeared along with countless other smaller swords. And from there, Lu Wushuang flew up, dressed in white with a sword. She leaped down from above. Yin Changfeng was startled, his eyes wide open. Lu Wushuang was rushing towards him, the aura surrounding her seemed to dominate everything, leaving Yin Changfeng gaping. He looked up towards the direction of the woman and exclaimed, that's Lu Wushuang. Lu Wushuang appeared, surrounded by a thick spiritual weapon, wearing a beautiful white robe like a celestial being. Su Ji Tian seemed to recognize at first glance, that's the yin-yang sword intent, he whispered in awe. Yuan Jian looked up and proudly said, not bad, the yin-yang sword intent, the cultivation is much higher than regular sword intents. Lu Wushuang descended onto the stage, right in front of Yin Changfeng and Li Changming. She stood on the stage, her beautiful yet icy face making everyone dazzled. The disciples below couldn't help but whisper. Senior sister Lu not only advanced her cultivation, but also became even more beautiful. Her cold and aloof demeanor is like the sun in the eastern sky. I understand now, she's a beautiful but cold-hearted woman. Seeing her grand entrance, Li Changming clasped his hands and sincerely said, Lu Junior sister, congratulations on your breakthrough in swordsmanship. Lu Wushuang smiled faintly and replied, thank you, senior brother. I had planned to continue my cultivation for a while longer, but I didn't want to miss this martial arts gathering, so I exited earlier than planned. The story ends here. See you in the next episode. Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of this series. Lu Wushuang stood solemnly bowing to Yin Changfeng. She spoke softly, Yin Holy Son has studied swordsmanship for many years, taking this opportunity to gather martial arts practitioners. Wushuang would like to ask for some guidance. Li Changming immediately showed a humble demeanor, that's very good, both of you are swordsmen, it's interesting to see a showdown between you two. Upon hearing this, Yin Changfeng could no longer maintain his composure. He secretly panicked, thinking, Lu Wushuang is still young, but she has already mastered the essence of swordsmanship. Even if I use all my strength, I may not be able to determine the outcome. He carefully considered, in this situation, I cannot risk losing. Yin Changfeng then came up with various reasons to reject Lu Wushuang. Junior sister Lu, this is a competition between holy sons. As a regular disciple, you do not have the qualifications to compete with me. Li Changming chuckled, well, then it's perfect. The news spread from Li Changming's mouth to Yin Changfeng's ears. In the quiet space, the clear voice of Li Changming echoed like a punch to Yin Changfeng's ears. Before that, the teacher had declared Lu Junior sister to be the holy girl of the Holy Land Tai Xian. When Yin Changfeng heard these words, he felt like he was hearing some kind of heavenly secret, his face intense and serious. He exclaimed, what? Upon hearing the news that a new holy girl had suddenly appeared in the Holy Land Tai Xian, up in the stands, Su Ji Tian also couldn't contain his astonishment and asked He Changxian, is what Li Changming said true? He Changxian calmly stroked his beard and replied, of course. He walked out, his eyes slowly scanning down below, and along with that, he affirmed to Yin Changfeng, Changfeng, Wushuang has been appointed as the holy girl of Tai Xian. It's just that the ceremony hasn't been held yet, so Wushuang's duel with you doesn't count as breaking the rules. Yin Changfeng couldn't help but look up in confusion, his mouth unable to form words. This matter, Su Ji Tian couldn't help but feel tense, but he still believed in his favorite disciple. After all, Lu Wushuang is just a golden elixir cultivator, still one step behind Changfeng's Yuaning realm. Surely, she can't lose. Because of his trust in Changfeng, he indirectly agreed to substitute for his disciple, and then he also encouraged him by saying, if the Holy Master Changxian has said so, then go ahead and fight, don't let others look down on our holy land Ziqing. Yin Changfeng couldn't help but panic. He didn't know how to react at that moment, his face was covered in cold sweat, the situation changed. Yin Changfeng gritted his teeth in anger, his eyebrows tensed up fiercely. I only wanted to defeat Li Changming to establish my authority, why did it turn out like this? However, still for the sake of establishing authority, he didn't refuse Lu Wushuang, with the solemn appearance of a swordsman cultivator. A sword placed behind his back, the other hand extended forward. Lu junior sister, please. Lu Wushuang did not neglect her manners, she solemnly returned the gesture, saying, thank you, Yin senior brother. The Li surname down in the arena continued to cheer and encourage, both of you, fight on. Yin Changfeng was truly speechless, he didn't waste any more time. Although not very confident, he would try his best for the Holy Land Ziqing, for his master. Yin Changfeng then drew his sword, even though he wasn't completely sure, he still continued to encourage himself in his heart. Even though you have mastered the Yin and Yang sword intent, I have been practicing the sword Dao for over 100 years. Yin Changfeng carried his sword and charged straight towards Lu Wushuang. Lu Wushuang, who had no expression, stood still with her eyes closed, hands placed in front of her chest to control her breath and prepare to use her sword technique. Suddenly, Lu Wushuang opened her eyes wide, surrounded by a powerful and pure aura, exuding the imposing aura of Yi Changqing's golden origin sword scripture. Witnessing Lu Wushuang's performance, the people below the arena were either astonished or captivated by her fairy-like beauty. Li Changming smirked and commented. Junior sister Wushuang is really amazing. Watching from above, the two holy masters had different expressions. The one about to win was cheerful, while Su Ji Tian, in a disadvantaged position, couldn't help but sweat and exclaimed, what is this? Yin Changfeng's mind was still reeling from the Yin and Yang sword intent, and now he was left gaping in amazement by another move. Two eyes opened wide, sweat dripping down his face. With a sense of panic, Yin Changfeng dared not continue running, he quickly hit the brakes, his body stiff and rigid, standing there in disbelief. How could this be? Eyes filled with uncontrollable rage, Lu Wushuang began to gather strength, using her skills to prepare for the first strike. The graceful posture of this beautiful female swordsman was rare in the martial world. She decisively raised her sword to strike. Yin Changfeng stood frozen in place, unable to even react or dodge. The sword swished past him, barely grazing a few strands of his hair. However, the strike was incredibly powerful, causing the surroundings to tremble violently. Even the rows of houses behind Yin Changfeng were destroyed. Yin Changfeng was so horrified that he couldn't even scream. If he had truly been hit by that blow, would he have met his ancestors immediately? His body was completely incapacitated, his legs unable to support him any longer. He knelt right on the arena. Yin Changfeng felt like he was being dragged into a dark and deep abyss, falling into a bottomless pit, his eyes wide open in shock as he stuttered, I've lost. Lu Wushuang stood up solemnly, exuding a powerful and intense aura, the protective sword in the hands of the young woman gradually disappearing. Lu Wushuang stood up solemnly, hands in front of her in a gesture of concession, sternly saying, I have yielded. Observing this straightforward scene, the crowd below was constantly shocked, with Li Changming applauding and praising, well done, Lu junior sister. The disciples behind Li Changming were so shocked that they were speechless. Su Ji Tian was shocked and shouted. What is Lu Wushuang doing? Then he turned to grab He Changxian's collar and asked, what just happened? He Changxian, weak and unable to resist, trembled and said, I don't know either. Under the fierce gaze of Su Ji Tian, He Changxian said, she must have enlightened herself during seclusion. Suji Tian was not at all comfortable, he was furious and gritted his teeth in anger. Despicable, Lu Wushuang used to be just an ordinary disciple, it must be because of that mysterious expert playing tricks behind his back. Suji Tian sat angrily on the chair, so furious that his legs couldn't stop shaking. He Changxian felt joyful and relieved, he covered his mouth to suppress laughter. He is angry now, he is really irritated. Time passed quickly. The night came with the moon shining brightly among the thousands of stars. Yi Changqing lay on the bed unable to sleep. He propped his hand behind his neck and sighed, the night is long, I can't sleep. However, suddenly the image of Dan Taiqing Shui appeared in his mind. Yi Changqing's cheeks turned slightly red. He exhaled a hot breath, but denied, it's not because Qing Shui girl left somewhere. Yi Changqing couldn't sleep, he turned to the other side, and now the book Qing Shui left accidentally hit his eyes. Unable to sleep now, Yi Changqing sat up, holding the book and whispered to himself, should I read the book she left behind? Yi Changqing bowed his head to look at the words on the cover of the book. This book is called Eating Dirt, why? Yi Changqing was puzzled. Why does it feel like it's mocking me? But then Yi Changqing got out of bed, lit a candle. The golden light from the candle illuminated the room. Yi Changqing sat at the table, he took the book and began to understand the meaning in it. To practice this skill, you need to. The young man found a new interest in this book, he enthusiastically exclaimed, interesting. He didn't know how much time had passed, until the first crow of the rooster resounded loudly, then it was already morning. Yi Changqing fell asleep on the table, he woke up feeling heavy. The young man gently wiped away the drool from the corner of his mouth. Yi Changqing looked at the book and said, oh, I studied this book until late last night, and accidentally fell asleep. Yi Changqing walked out feeling relieved, he straightened his back feeling refreshed, I'm glad I finished reading, I understand it all now. Qing Shui, my lady, Yi Changqing walked around the house as soon as he woke up. He kept calling out Qing Shui, my lady, but no one answered. Yi Changqing had just walked out of the door when his eyes suddenly stopped on something, a scroll placed right on the table. Yi Changqing picked up the paper, he unfolded it to read the contents inside, a message left by Qing Shui. He began to read aloud, Ye great master, thank you for your teachings and hospitality these days. Qing Shui will always remember, if there is fate in the future. Reading up to this point, Yi Changqing couldn't help but feel emotional, he smiled and began to have vague thoughts, if there is fate, perhaps he can teach me cultivating immortals, repaying kindness with gratitude would be even better. He then looked down to read on, if there is fate in the future, I will come visit you again. Contrary to Yi Changqing's expectations, seeing these words written on the paper, he immediately lost interest and threw the scroll away. Yi Changqing no longer had any hopes, he took out a book nonchalantly and said, forget it, if she's gone then let's try the skill she gave me. Yi Changqing lay in his yard enjoying the sunlight with the book, he lay on the long chair occasionally opening the book to absorb its meanings. Spirit soaring, traversing the heavens and earth, boundless and eternal, without water, without loyalty, the more he recited, the more intense reactions manifested around him. Commencing with primordial qi, manipulating yin and yang, forging connections in the 8 directions, embracing the 4 qi of the celestial realm. Yi Changqing sat cross-legged, as a powerful golden aura began to emanate from him. The more he comprehended, the more fervent he became. With water comes unity, all things are born and transformed, traversing myriad miles. At the same time, the sky began to change, from clear blue to ominously dark, accompanied by continuous flashes of lightning and thunder. Yi Changqing tightly closed his eyes, unaware of anything, then suddenly opened them wide. In the sky over Shaoqi town, the atmosphere grew increasingly gloomy, with lightning becoming more intense by the moment. Onlookers couldn't help but feel alarmed. Why is the weather suddenly changing? Indeed, wasn't it sunny just a moment ago? This thunderstorm is truly frightening. Meanwhile, the hay was still immersed in slumber, each thunderclap growing fiercer. Only when he gently opened his eyes did he awaken to the startling scene before him, shocked by the abrupt change upon waking up. This is a little miracle, it thought, glancing towards Yi Changqing, who sat calmly in meditation. It felt somewhat pleased. After accompanying the master for so many years, this is the first time I've seen him practice cultivation. Yi Changqing, tense, opened his eyes and looked at his hands, thinking, suddenly, I can feel countless streams of energy moving within me. Could this be the result of my physical training? Yi Changqing paid no attention to the phenomenon around him, his joy so overwhelming that he leaped up with a shout of excitement.